Good morning, everybody. I mean, it's morning for me. It's 7:30 in the morning for me, but good afternoon for those of you over in Europe and wherever you're joining us from. Welcome to the Talkin Kop. It is full-time match reaction. I'm your host, Matt. I'm joined by Kev O'Sullivan. I'm joined by Ashley. Got those mixed all up because everything's mirrored on the computer here. It is finished at, where were we? Selhurst Park today. Crystal Palace 0, Liverpool 1. Ashley, that is a lovely way to start a weekend, isn't it?
I told you, whenever we win early in the morning, it's a great way to start the weekend. It was nervy toward the end, but yeah, overall, great way to start the weekend.
Yeah, and Kev, like Real Talk says there, you're in early with the comments, top of the league. And now we get to sit back and watch all the others try to keep pace.
Isn't that the best thing about a 12:30 kickoff win? The fact that you can sit back and enjoy it, enjoy the rest of the football. You can enjoy the fixtures that are happening today, choose to watch them, don't, whatever. But it doesn't make a blind bit of difference to us. Top of the league. And in fairness, a block of fixtures that you look to take maximum points out of. We've done really well. We needed to see that one off. And, not ideal. There was some loads of stuff happening in that game. But look, 3 points, good solid win. In fairness, I know our record there is really good, and a lot of people of a vintage have PTSD about Crystal Palace and certain results. But in general, we normally do really well there, and but it is always a stiff test there as well. You got to play well, and we did. We played well. We deserved the win.
Yeah, it's Selhurst Park is one of those funny places that people think we have a terrible record at, but it comes up every time we play there that we actually have quite a good record.
I'll tell you one thing, right? If I was born in London and lived in London, Crystal Palace is the team I would support. I like the club, I like the fan base, but I like the Selhurst Park. I love the atmosphere they create, and when it's going, it's absolutely brilliant. And I think for the majority of the game, we did really well to shut them off. But they were always going to have a moment. They were always going to have a period of the game. And it was about us managing that. And, all positives for us.
Yes. Well, not all positives.
Yeah.
As we'll get into as we go through it. The lineups dropped, and we get 4 changes, I believe it is, from the last game. Tsimikas comes in for Robertson. We get Jones in for Szoboszlai. Gakpo comes in for Luis Diaz, and Jota in for Darwin Núñez. Ashley, any big surprises in that lineup for you?
I think we were expecting changes. I think the surprise is to actually see those changes happen. Because with Slot, you never really know. But he obviously seemed to have prioritized Bologna as the slightly more difficult of the 2 fixtures this week. So it seems like we got a little bit more rotation for Palace. And, whenever you get a win, you're like, oh, that was brilliant. That was a great call. So I think that's probably the takeaway today was, the rotation was good, but if the result had been different, I think our conversation would have been different about that starting lineup.
Yeah, it's funny how results change the narrative after the fact. Kelleher is sick, so he's not involved in the matchday squad, which I don't think anybody, when the game was kicking off, thought that was going to factor into our feelings about the game at all. And it turns out that it definitely did. Szoboszlai apparently with a slight knock on the bench. Chiesa not in the squad at all. It was Trent Alexander-Arnold's birthday today too, which is always nice. And then
is that also true for you? Is that?
No, it's tomorrow.
Okay. Well, Happy early birthday to you then.
Thank you.
Happy early birthday, Matthew. Matthew. Happy early birthday, Matthew.
Oh, thank you, Kev. Thank you, Kev. And I will say it is very strange seeing cheerleaders at a Premier League game. It's just weird. It's so American looking seeing cheerleaders there with their pom-poms dancing.
They've done it for years, though. They've done it for years there.
It feels like the Ted Lasso kind of like coming into Selhurst Park.
Yeah, it's just strange. But, it doesn't take us long, Kev, to get into the talking points because 22 seconds in and the ball is in the back of our net and Eddie Nketiah well offside. But another early fright.
Well offside. Really good finish, really good move, and they just compressed that area of the pitch. The ball, it was a scatter for the ball. They come out with it, and some really good passing. Nice cross by Sarr, and Nketiah finished it. It was a lovely finish. but you could see straight away warning signs. But it was my biggest fear. I put it in the WhatsApp group before when the lineups dropped. My biggest fear was Ismail Assar picking up the ball, or the ball coming to Sarr, and Costas lunging out to try to win it, missing it, and giving Sarr open space to run in behind. Credit where it's due. Didn't happen. For the vast majority of that game, Ismail Sarr was kept really quiet. And in fairness, against us, bar his performance for Watford, where Sadio Mane was like, "This is my little brother," we were like, "Oh my God, it's Sadio Mane reincarnate." He's been relatively quiet against us. He's an absolute speed demon, but yeah, his qualities in ball, his end product isn't really there. But yeah, it was like, hello, you're in a game moment. Sure.
Yeah, wakey. It's that's one way to get the weekend started, with an absolute jolt. Sony here saying poor start from Simicast, but played well after that. SLJ 758 says Costas played well, to be fair. And I mean, Ashley, that brings us on to the goal, because I think you got to give a lot of credit for Costas Simicast, because he plays a lovely ball into Gakpo, and then a first time cross for Gakpo and Diogo Jota. That is predatorial.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great ball, like right across the box. So the whole setup was ideal. But yeah, you need to be there. You need to be in the position to finish off that goal, and he was there. And that's the Diogo Jota that we know and love, like that absolute killer, right in front of the goal. And it's great to see. And I think Slot actually made a comment like right before. I don't know if it was in his pre-match, but he made a comment about how he wanted to see more goals from our number 9s, and it was like on cue. There was the goal from our number 9. So it was great to see.
Yeah. I mean, Bob Paddock saying the goal was very nice teamwork. You feel that that's one of the goals, Kev, that the coaching staff are like, yep.
Yeah. I mean, the coaching staff were purring over that. I was like salivating over it, because the football that we played in periods of that first half were typified by that goal. The passing, the crispness of the passing, the accuracy of it, the movement off the ball, the making options for the player who was on the ball. They always had options. There was 2 or 3 options all the time. But the series of passes that led up to the goal, and then the cross, and then the late run into the box. I mean, not a single Palace player got anywhere near that ball. And I mean, not even a sniff, not even close. There is nothing that Palace could have done differently in that goal, bar what they did. They tried to mark off the space as much as they could. We just played between the space, played between the lines, and it was scintillating football. That was Arne Slot football typified in a goal. That was it. And we will see that goal again and again and again repeated over the rest of the season at different grounds, because that's how he wants to play. You could see it right the way through the half with how we were playing. But I'm telling you, that takes a serious amount of legs and a serious amount of stamina and mental strength, mental awareness to stay switched on all the time. Because you make a mistake in midfield and lose it in a certain position, Palace are in. And they're in with an easy 2v2, a 3v2, a 3v1, or a 1v3, whatever. It's really dangerous. It's really high risk. But when it pays off, you get a goal like that. Absolutely delightful football.
Yeah, it's lovely to see the little dear McGlinchey here backing up the talk about Selhurst Park being a bogey ground with 10 wins in a row at Palace. Despite us not liking that away day, we usually end up with the win, just not always a comfortable win. And that's kind of the big takeaway from it, is it shouldn't be easy to go to a consistent Premier League team away and get a comfortable win. But 10 wins in a row is 10 wins in a row. And I mean, Kev, you mentioned there about winning the battles in midfield. And Ashley, I thought that was something that especially the first half, I thought we absolutely dominated the midfield. We had the numbers in there, but all the calls in the summertime to just pay Crystal Palace whatever they wanted for Adam Wharton. And he was not the 80 million pound midfielder because he was invisible.
Yeah. I mean, I think the numbers really showed there. I know a few of us were trying to be realistic with Wharton over the summer, saying, there's really just not enough of a pool of evidence for him in terms of games played to warrant any sort of fee that's even remotely close to that. And that's not to say that he won't get there, but I do think that you're seeing kind of like the peaks and troughs that come with a young player playing in the Premier League for probably their first entire season. But yeah, I think our pressing was really, really good. And I think I was impressed with Jones coming in because normally Szoboszlai is such a big part of that press. And I think Jones actually did a really capable job today.
Yeah, it's I always like sharing a comment where somebody agrees with me. So Matt is a mug. No, that's not the one I wanted. I was red armchair supporter. Wasn't impressed by any of the Palace players we were linked with today. I mean, Kev, one name from Palace that was bandied about in terms of a transfer was Mark Gahey, and I have to say, he really likes to go to ground.
Yeah, he does.
So easy.
He does, and he does it for England as well. He's very rash in the tackle. And it's something you can't do at a top level because you're playing against players with quick feet and quick minds that will not only have been well prepared that this is coming, but they'll play for it and they'll make sure that you're going to catch them. And yeah, I thought Maxime Lacroix today was very good. The other centre backs, the one they brought in this summer, I was a real fan of his 2 years ago when he was at Wolfsburg. I really like him. I think he's a really, really good player. And they got him for
great tackle at the very end that he made where Jota and Diaz were 2-on-1.
Yeah, I think and the thing, he's rapid. He's probably quicker than Konate. You know, he is a really good player. But the thing, go back to the midfield bit a sec, and it's a bit harsh on the Palace midfield because of the way they lined up off the ball in a ratty 5-4-1. They were pure rats with it. But it was a central two in midfield. And we just created a box around the midfield. And we were always outnumbered them. There was either 3v2, 4v2 at some points. It was really a tactical masterclass in that first half of how to set up against a 5-4-1. That you box the middle of the park, you draw players out, you pull them, you literally have them on strings where you pull them around. And that's what we did. It was just... They got the setup wrong, and we really exploited it in a big way. And all in all, a lot of people will be really happy with that first 45. We did an awful lot right. The only thing that we didn't do was create significant chances and meaningful chances. Henderson had to make a couple of saves, but they're saves he'd expect to make. But yeah, we really dominated that first half. Also, it was a really good, solid performance. Can't complain at all.
Yeah. The one complaint that we could have, Ashley, would probably be that, like Bob Paddock says, Jota had 3 sitters, at least one ended in the net. That was the goal. But on 33 minutes, I mean, it's incredibly intricate play on the right wing. Gravenberch and Mo Salah playing a little 1-2, and the ball's crossed in, and it somehow finds Jota, and he's got to score. Like,
he just fluffed his lines.
Yeah.
And it was a clear opportunity, but he just fluffed his lines. And I feel like he does that sometimes. I feel like he's kind of like Mo, where like he's not in the game and then he has a couple chances and then like one of those couple chances will end up in the net and the rest of them have you pulling your hair out. But he was at least in the positions. I don't think it was his greatest game ever, but at least he was there to potentially put the ball in the back of the net, which is half the battle, I suppose.
Yeah, that's there's always a silver lining. There's always a silver lining.
I'm gonna do my best here.
Yeah, we had an absolute onslaught of corners in the first half. We had 7 by my count, and I think the 7th one was the only one that actually got to a Liverpool head. Kev, were you surprised to see that we weren't crowding the keeper as we have been in past games? Because I was kind of expecting that to happen, especially with Tsimikas on, because he does have a very good delivery with the left foot.
I was too, but maybe it's a thing that they went a different way because Palace had you've got the 3 centre-backs, all good in the air. You've got Lerma as well, who normally he's been playing as a centre-back from midfield. And Wharton is a big lad as well. So, you've got 5 good, big, tall, strong headers of a ball. So I think we tried to be a bit different. The amount of corners that we're looking for front post flick-ons and stuff like that. I think it's the one thing I wish we probably tried once or twice was maybe a good short routine. And at least that would pull Palace players out and they wouldn't be expecting it, and then you can maybe put a cross in. But look, yeah, on another day it works out. But set pieces are set pieces. There's no, unless you're Arsenal, there's no you're not really likely to create an exceptional chance from a set piece every game, whereas they kind of tend to do. You know?
Yeah.
It's probably the most valuable member of a backroom staff in the country, bar none.
Yeah, they have an incredible ability to score from corners. And I mean, I was listening to something that's talking about how they start their players past the far post and they're running onto it, so the defender can't keep an eye on the ball and the man at the same time, while the attacking defenders, the Gabriel rushing in, gets to keep his eyes on the ball while the ball's coming in. And it's just like, it seems so obvious.
And the delivery is always on point. The delivery is always really good. You
got to give Saka credit. He does have he does do that quite well. Right towards the end of the half, there was two really good pieces of defending. First was from Tsimikas on Ismail Sarr, just shielding him off, letting the ball roll out for a goal kick. And then Sarr stays onside just before the halftime whistle's blown, gets a good shot off. Allison with an extremely strong hand getting down to block it. And then Konate blocking off. I think it was Eddie Nketiah that was rushing in to get for the rebound. But not what we saw against, was that against Bologna? No, that was against West Ham, where Konate was kind of caught in between two minds of what to do and didn't block off Strand Larson.
Yeah.
In West Ham. No, that would have been Wolves. That was against Wolves. But just to allow Allison to collect the ball. But that was Palace's first shot on goal, was seconds before the half. But I mean, Ashley, we get into the half, and like Kev said, some people were delighted with that half. I certainly was. I thought that was an excellent first half from us.
Yeah, I think we were talking about in the Bologna game how there was about 35 minutes of solid control at the very beginning of the game. I think we extended that in this game to the whole entire first half. And I think that was about as controlled as I've seen us look. And I think part of that was, Crystal Palace really kind of didn't really feel like they had the energy that some of the other teams that we've played had. But in general, I left that half feeling really confident, and I didn't expect the kind of drop off that we saw in the second half, because there was a little bit of a drop off.
Yeah. And I mean, Sony here is saying the complete lack of control when Szoboszlai came on. Jones moved back next to Gravenberch when McAllister goes off is alarming. And Kev, that's the big talking point at halftime, is that Alexis McAllister is substituted for Dominic Szoboszlai. You're not sure if it's rotation or not. And then they report immediately as the half starts that he's got ice on his thigh. And hopefully that's one of those, we're about to go into an international break. Looks like he picked up a little 10-day injury.
Yeah, fingers crossed. It'll do him no harm, and it'll do Szoboszlai no harm either. Look, Palace are always, you're not, I mean, the stats from the first half, we had 73% possession away from home in a tight ground against a crowd that if someone sneezes, they get up for it. So that's impressive. They were always going to come out and have a go. Combine that with the changes that were made, and people, you can read into whatever you like, but ultimately there's a little bit of Palace coming out and having a go and doing a few different things and changing a few things tactically, to us having to readjust to how we were playing. It's not big seesaws. It's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And in the Premier League, with the players that Palace have, and let's not, kid ourselves, they have some very good players. There is a reason why Newcastle will go in for Guehi for big money. There is a reason why Eze is so highly rated. Mateta, when he came on, is a handful, an absolute real rocket of a handful. And Nketiah is experienced, knows his game, and Sarr is a speed demon. So they were always going to have moments and things in the game, but generally it was a case of us trying to find a rhythm again, and that's all about carrying on what we were doing, keeping the good things that we were doing going, and we kept trying to do that. But it's football; it's never going to be plain sailing, and they had moments in the second half, but truly, that's all they really were, was moments.
Yeah, and Thor the Dyslexic Polyglot saying that Palace had a free week too. So, they had the legs there. I think some of the changes that they made actually really helped them settle into the game. We got through the halftime. We make our substitution. Obviously, this is a point where I tell everybody that we're still on our charity drive. So if you can, please donate to our two charities, Fan Supporting Food Banks in Liverpool, the Lighthouse Cafe in Dublin. Take the link, which you'll find in any of the show podcast descriptions on YouTube, whatever. Share it into your social media account. Please help us hit our fundraising target so that we can move on to the next one. But until then, we'll just keep on mentioning it. Ashley, we get through about the first 15 minutes of the second half, and I don't have a heck of a lot. Hooper actually called a foul against them, which was kind of nice to see. And then the changes come, and Mateta comes on for Mitchell, and Hughes comes on for Wharton. And I feel that the Hughes for Wharton change was actually quite a big one because he was buzzing around the pitch.
Yeah, he made a difference. My commentator made some sort of comment about what's his name? Why am I blanking all of a sudden? The guy that Hughes came on for.
Wharton?
Yes, thank you. Sorry, brain fart. He made a comment about him having some sort of lingering injury concern, and I don't know if that's why we didn't see him at all in this game, because he really was kind of invisible. But the minute that Hughes came on, he added that little bit of grit, and he always kind of does. I remember there was a period of time where we were actually looking at him, and he's always kind of had that, I don't know, like just grab the game by the throat or the neck in the midfield kind of attitude. And so, yeah, he definitely made a difference. I think Mateta was probably a little bit of a nod to the Nuno tactics, where he brought in Hudson-Odoi at that 60-minute mark, really to just rush at our goal and kind of try to make that last gasp effort toward an equalizer or a winner. And I mean, it definitely improved them. I mean, I think they went up a gear, and I think some of that was desperation to try to get anything out of the game just because of where they are in the table. But overall, yeah, it definitely presented more of a challenge for us.
Yeah, they're in a strange position because they're 18th, 19th, something like that. Like they're not having a great start, but like Kev, like you said, like they've got good players. Like their attacking talent is strong. They've got strong players in midfield. Like Gahey is a talent.
I think the thing is losing Michael Elise and the year before losing Will Zaha is a blow.
And Anderson is too.
Yeah, it's I hope they stay up, but because the thing is, we've seen good sides go down before, and momentum in football is everything. I mean, the thing is, just before the subs, if you remember that little cross that Van Dijk played,
little chip
to Mo, that would have been a beauty, and that just before Palace were starting to make their changes, 2-0, it's done. It's over, because the 45 to then, we had a couple of shots. We were keeping the momentum. We were keeping the ball pretty well. Nothing major happened at all up until that period of play. Gravenberch had a shot, came out. Virgil got the ball, ding to Mo. If that had gone in, you're talking a different game altogether. But the subs came on, and they decided to have a go for it. Will Hughes, when he was coming through the ranks, I think it was Derby. Someone might correct me, but he was about 20, 21, and he's very similar to how Wharton was perceived, not as a player, but as a rating. How high is he ceiling? He was like coming at a time in his career when Lampard and Gerrard were just becoming faded, kind of going, and he was a young English central midfielder who was getting into the box, scoring goals. He was going to be the next one on the rung, and it just never quite happened for him. He finally got a move into the Premier League, and it never really came for him. But he was physical, and that got the Palace fans up, and in turn that got the players going.
I think his bombing around in midfield really helped spark Selhurst into life, because it was, on my feed at least, you could pretty much only hear the traveling cop in the first half. It was surprisingly quiet, and at one point the commentators even kind of mentioned how subdued the atmosphere was, but we didn't give them anything to cheer about. But I mean, Kev, I'll stick with you on it, because we have Diogo Jota's second sitter that he misses, and I mean, it's a lovely floated cross from Trent from a nice, dangerous position for a free kick to come from, and I'm certain he was onside. They didn't really show a lot of
he was onside.
Those are the positions that you want your striker to get into, and that's another one. He just has to score.
They're the ones you want him in.
Yeah.
Above anyone else, he's the one you want there. And he was just having one of those days. I think that with that one, you didn't know what to do. if it's the one that I'm thinking of, he didn't know whether to go with his head, wait, and do what he did. But it's like the one that he, in the first half, came off his heel because of the way it went out. And this last one, it's like, there's your chance to kill the game. Mo had the chance, he should have taken it. Jota should have finished it off. And then you get the commentator, and the commentator is only saying what we're all thinking. Are we going to pay for this? We're missing these good chances. Are we going to end up with egg on our face and come away with a point or worse? You know, it can feel like an absolute disaster when you miss these kind of chances and it goes the other way. But when it doesn't, it's like, I'm glad he's getting the chances because he will put them away as the season goes on. So,
yeah,
not really massively worried.
Nice €5 super chat here from Derek McCormick, which is absolutely lovely. Thank you very much, Derek. 80% of that will go right into the charities after YouTube takes their cut. We're now going to have a little bit of guest analysis here from a local expert. Just hold on a sec. Oh, wow, look at that. It's
Hello.
Chris Crack, everybody.
I thought I'd do a SummerSlam, just coming at half time and just, help out.
Well, you're just going to kind of run around the pitch and take shots when you shouldn't and pass when you should shoot.
That's pretty.
If you say one bad word about the Greek god, me and you are falling out. Because I thought he was going to die.
That was all he came on here for.
That's all I came on. Yeah. Is it wrong? I was celebrating he got knocked out. No, I thought he was all right, actually.
He was very good today.
Yeah.
I thought he was very good.
I thought he broke his back, to be fair, when he...
That was horrendous, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
luckily, I think he landed higher on his
special.
shoulders, because that was a sore one.
Yeah. Did he get booked for that?
No. Yeah, he did, yeah.
Right. I want to ask you guys, all of you now, and Chris, good at yours as well. The referee today, I mean...
Lost control.
He did, didn't he? We were lucky, really, that Palace aren't that kind of nasty side that are going to throw nasty tackles in and stuff like that. But I didn't think that game warranted the way it played out. It didn't warrant the cards. But what do you got? I mean,
the yellows he gave, because so I saw the last 10 minutes of the first half, and I saw the whole of the second half. Just got in for my daughter's football. But I thought he was very consistent with his yellow. So, McAllister gets a yellow for pulling back. I'd say perfectly fine. That's a standard yellow card. Same incident happens in the second half. He doesn't book him. You're like, oh dear. So yeah, he was a bit average. Yeah. By the way, Brentford have scored after 2 minutes. Just to add, that must be a record. Yeah, 2 minutes they've scored. That must be a record. That.
How many games in a row is that now?
It was last game. That's.
You're on like a 4-game streak or something?
4-game streak of scoring within the first 2 minutes.
That's mad.
Was it Jumo again?
It was, I will tell you, Collins.
Nathan Collins.
Whoever's their kickoff coach, whoever's in charge of this.
I know. Let's get him. He's good.
Yeah, let's get him.
Get him and pick up the guy from Arsenal at the service station. And we're
we'll have a little set piece army on our number.
That's okay. Is Gronemark is still involved with the setup, isn't he? Or did we move on?
No, he's gone now.
He's like that's why I throw in surfer or something now, isn't he? I don't know.
Yeah, that's why we don't have very good throw-ins anymore. Before we get on to the flurry of yellow cards, I was absolutely perplexed. I saw one of the strangest advertisings in a stadium I've ever seen, which was a tourism advertisement for the state of Illinois. That one just absolutely baffled me that the state of Illinois is advertising themselves in Selhurst Park, but maybe that's just me. I found that a little bit strange. Was the corner that Allison punches clear, was that the moment that the entire world thinks that Palace should have gotten a penalty? Because I didn't even write that down in my notes because I didn't think it was a big deal.
It was a short corner at 70 minutes.
Yeah, okay. And then, the ball comes back in and Allison ends up punching it clear.
Bless you.
Yeah, because I think he's got hold of his wrist. Van Dijk. But as he got older, his wrist for long enough. Don't know, maybe, but I don't think he's getting to it, even if he doesn't have hold of it. I think that's the reason it's not given. If they thought it was a chance he could have got to it, the penalty would have been given, which is why West Ham didn't get one against Chelsea a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, Ashley, you put this quote from Arne Slot here. He says, that's always with VAR. If he has given it, he wouldn't have changed it. For me, it was not a penalty because he was never going to get to that ball. And, obviously the Palace fans and Arsenal fans and the 5 or 6 Man City fans in the world will think that was an absolute stonewall that they were denied because it's all.
Fletch did. Fletch on TNT thought it was. He spent the rest of the game talking about it.
So was that the turning point that they were gonna all of a sudden win the game on?
He does love a turning point, doesn't he?
There's no consistency, you know. You need to explain.
I'm torn on it. I'm torn on it because I want to see that given as a penalty.
I mean, I think Van Dijk holds on to him a little bit too long.
I think he does.
So
I think Virgil is asking for it. I think Virgil is asking for trouble. He realizes the danger. He knows
compared to like
player
that Bologna game. I feel like there was way more holding in that Bologna game that didn't get called.
Yeah.
It's a biggest bugbear I have in football. I go back to the Russia World Cup in 2018. The referees said at the start of the tournament, we're clamping down on holding in the box. And they did. And they booked players and they gave penalties and it stopped. And what you found was defenders actually had to defend their space properly and try to win headers. And forwards had a chance to score goals. And we saw more goals. I want to see referees come down on holding in the box. Full stop across the board. Because we watch football to be entertained. We watch football for goals. And it's literally worse than UFC. It's worse than UFC. With like the holding that's going on in the box at the minute. It's ridiculous. It genuinely. You see, Konate, Virgil are manhandled game on game. Salah's manhandled outside the box every game, but that's just because they hate Salah. But the amount of holding, and we're as guilty of it because we do it as well. I wish referees at the start of a season will come together and say, look, that's it. It's not a case that it's not a contact sport. If you want to shoulder someone or go up to try to compete to win the ball, fine. But you can't be grabbing players around the shoulders saying, no, you can't get the ball or you are not allowed to jump. It's got to stop. It's getting ridiculous.
On that point, though, like if you look at what happens to Salah on the sideline when he's trying to run down the sideline and the amount of players that just wrap their arms around him and he gets nothing, like there is some consistency there. I don't think it's correct consistency, but like I think Jota had one today where he was absolutely manhandled right in front of Slot, and Slot actually lost it, and I've never seen him lose it. That's the first time I think we've seen that kind of emotion come out of him on the halfway line. And I mean, he was screaming at Simon Hooper, which we all scream at Simon Hooper whenever he referees. But yeah, you're seeing it all over the pitch. It's not just in the box.
The one thing I've realised though is having a Baldy as a manager isn't helping us as referees. I kind of thought it'd be all Baldies together, but no, that's not helping us either. So that theory's gone out the window then.
Well, as Red Steve says, though, it balances out over the season. And as long as, like, I'm okay if they let the shirt pulling and pulling on arms and stuff like that from corners, as long as players are getting yellow carded for putting their hands out and having somebody slap them away. As long as that's cut out of the game, because that's behavior we don't want to see. Because I wasn't on for the Bologna match. That was some of the silliest yellow carding I've ever seen.
Yeah, that was nonsense, wasn't it?
Yeah. I still don't get when referees stop corners to say to players, stop pulling each other, I'll give a penalty. Why are you telling them? They all know the rules. Just give the penalty or give the free kick. And when they say, like, what's that for? You pulled him. You didn't warn me. I don't need to. I don't have to warn you not to 2 foot someone.
It's amazing how something like that if you do that early in the game, it all stops.
Yeah.
Because players will play their game according to how the referee referees the game. If you're going to allow niggly fouls, players will foul all game long.
And I think that's also why Virgil probably held on to it, because I think he realised he wasn't going to do that.
He wasn't going to get pulled up for it. And he probably knew about the West Ham one, because players watch football the same as what we do.
Yeah.
He got away with it, and that's the truth.
That's why all clubs hire analysts. And I'm sure they analyse referees certain referees go, he never gives this type of foul, so take it, do it. Whereas certain other referees will go, he's really picky, so don't give him an excuse. So shut your mouth, don't kick the ball away. All the usual stuff. We all know which refs do that.
Yeah, Michael Oliver.
They're all
kind of equally horrible.
Yeah, I mean, Brian O'Halloran says the bald community have no solidarity. It seems the balderhood doesn't exist. Very good, Brian. No. It's a little early in the morning for that much cheese, but I guess we're here for it.
Was it early in the morning for you?
it's a little early. It's a little early.
Yeah, I've had a full day. What have you been doing? Get on with it, Mom.
Hey, I was up at 5 a.m. to watch this. Give me a break. Give me a break. As RCTV pointed out, the 3:00 kickoffs are a flurry of goals already. It's 1-1 West Ham, Ipswich 1-1 Brentford and Wolves after 8 minutes. I think they're in the 10th or 12th minute now. We get a flurry of yellow cards though, and then Ashley, we come on to what I think the big talking point of the game outside of the result is in the 76th minute. We're kind of dicking around with the ball at the back. Trent plays it back to Allison, who hoofs it out for a throw in and immediately goes down. And within about 3 seconds, you can tell that he's coming off.
Yeah, he knew. He knew the minute it happened that it was another hamstring injury. Probably the same hamstring, probably the same leg. And he had just recovered. And, for all that we love him, he does have very, very sensitive hamstrings.
Yeah.
I think he was injured before that pass back came to him. Because of the way he cleared it, he clears it with his wrong foot. Because that wasn't the most natural way to kick a ball clear. So I don't know if it was like the previous corner or something, or the previous goal kick. But you could tell as soon as the ball went back, so I thought he's injured already before he even kicks it. So, that I saw Ashley's message there. I think we were saying in the chat, I'll be amazed if he's there after the next international break.
He needed help getting from the dugout into the locker room, which to me is always a really bad sign.
Thank God we kept
that is, he didn't go straight down. I mean, I guess you can't go straight down the tunnel because you enter in the corner of the fucking pitch. So maybe that's why he stayed on the bench.
I think so. I think it was just a minimal movement. But luckily, we've got Kelleher. Thank God we kept him.
He's going to be seriously tested during this run of games. I mean,
if we're going to talk about Kelleher,
second keeper.
We have an expert here, a fellow Cork man, and Kev. The McGlinchey again says probably hope now Kelleher doesn't get injured for Ireland, but Jaros was so composed when he came on. We've got after this silly international break, which is completely unnecessary. We've got an extremely tough run of fixtures coming up, and I've got faith in Quivien Kelleher because he's shown pretty much every time he's come into the team that we can rely on him, and this is another big opportunity for him, and the reason why we didn't ship him off for peanuts and a Matt Turner in the summer, isn't it?
Oh God!
Can you imagine if we had Matt Turner in this scenario?
No, we'd be playing. We'd be playing Jaros.
I'll be perfectly honest. If we had Matt Turner as a backup, I wouldn't be doing post matches till Alson's back. I'd just flat out say no. I'm not coming on for that.
No, we would be playing Jaros. Jaros is a very good keeper. We all watched pre-season. Most of the people who are in the chat watched almost all of pre-season. So we all know that Jaros is a very capable keeper. He's capable. He's competent with the ball at his feet. His distribution, medium and long, is very good. His positioning, even today, we'll get onto their chance later. Very good. I honestly think he's better than a third choice keeper. He just is. Went and won the league last season when he was on loan with a side who are in Europe this season and doing okay. So look.
Could he be the heir to Kelleher?
It depends on how he sees his role with the club going forward. But I wouldn't be surprised if the club want to keep him. I think he qualifies as club, not maybe club grown, but homegrown.
No, I think he's been there ages, hasn't he?
He's been there a long time.
7 years, they said. Today was his debut.
That's club grown, homegrown. But not only that, I think he's a very competent keeper. I think he's a good keeper. Kelleher, look, we know what Quivien Kelleher is. We know what he offers. We know that he's excellent with the ball at his feet. He probably suits this style of play better than all of them. Better than Allison, better than Jaros. But he is capable of the odd brain fart, and he's not a number one at a top 4 club for a reason. Because he is capable of having the odd mistake. He's got the odd mistake in him. But in general, if he comes in, he'll be tested. He'll do absolutely fine. I hope it's just an illness because it'll be good for him to.
That's what they said it was.
Get the games for Ireland because it's the one thing we're absolute dross, and he will be very busy over the next 2 games. And
get the match.
Yeah, it'll get him a bit sharp. It'll get him a bit aware. But the only thing is, we will not be playing out from the back. so his long distribution will be
pinpoint.
Will be dialed in by the time he comes back.
Yeah, no, I think Ian Doyle, the Echo, was saying it was just illness.
Yeah, I'm worried about Alisson's injury though, because we've seen hamstring injuries in the past. That looks like a really bad one. You know, we've seen hamstring injuries where they'll walk off, they'll limp a bit, they know it, they've hurt it. If it's high up, that one looks.
You can tell by his reaction. You can see the frustration with
that
throwing his gloves off and all that. He looked really crestfallen over that, which is a shame.
Yeah, I think that shows like where we are with Alisson, though. Like, I think we were all kind of hoping maybe this will be the year that we don't necessarily need Kelleher, or maybe this will be the year that he gets a string of games. He's not that keeper. I don't think he's ever going to be that keeper now that he's had this string of hamstring injuries, because those tend to happen over and over and over again. And, you know, if we do keep Alisson beyond this season, and I have no idea what their plan is, but I do think some of these shouts for a little bit more rotation might have to come into play in order to kind of, which is weird. Yeah. It's crazy to say that for a keeper, but I feel like he's not like an ordinary keeper. He's so good that it's like, it's worth kind of
the risk,
like nursing him. Yeah.
I think it'd be next to impossible to keep him next season as a number one or a number two, because he has a value. You know, the club will look from a business point of view. We cannot have someone earning that much money and a saleable asset at the club on the bench. We spent the money for Mamardashvili, and he's ripping it up in La Liga again this season, to come in, and you're not going to put him on the bench. So I think this is Alisson's last season at the club. But where he goes from here, maybe he goes to Barcelona, maybe he goes to Madrid, you know, maybe he goes back to Brazil. Wherever he goes, he's a phenomenal goalkeeper. He's the best keeper in the world. But for the way we play out from the back, his hamstrings are going to be severely tested every single game, because it's not just good enough to be able to pass it long or whip the one or two passes out short here and there. You're actively involved all the time. So his hamstrings, or any goalkeeper's hamstrings that plays for us now, are going to be, need to be on their A limit, because it's a physical position going forward for us, as well as one that you have to be technically good on the ball.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Alisson, and I mean, like Scouser Pete was asking if we think that he's kind of done as a starter for us, and it's starting to feel like the writing's on the wall with that. When you start picking up injuries like that and can't be relied upon, because it came out when he missed that last little stint there, the last couple of games before Wolves when he came back, that he had missed 30 or something more matches since, in the last 5 years out of all the other goalkeepers in the league.
I think he's above. The only one that's next to him is Nick Pope. And Nick Pope was out with the dislocated shoulder elbow thing.
Yeah, not good. So, but it was nice to see Jaros. I mean, they listed off the teams that he went on loan to, and it is not a glittering collection of teams. St. Pat's and Stockport, and even Sturm Graz. But I think it's just well.
But I think for keepers, though, I think they do tend to go to lower league sides because you want them to be busy, if you know what I mean. You actually don't. I mean, probably his last loan where he won the league was where they wanted to be a concentration role. So I suppose it's a bit more of a weird development you do for keepers.
Yeah, that would explain Aaron Ramsdale's 3 years of consecutive relegations or something like that.
Well, he's just overhyped.
That's the difference. He's not a very good keeper. But I mean, Chris, the one big chance that Palace had to even it up came in the 84th minute. We turned the ball over dangerously when I thought it was strange how forward we were getting, and then we turned the ball over, and it's 3v1 going the other way. Eze should do better, but it's a solid save from Jaros.
Yeah, I think Kev was put in the chat. It's the risk reward of how we play. Is high risk pass, but if it doesn't come off, it will catch you out. And Trent's inverted and gets caught on the ball, and there's just no way Karate can get across. I think what helps is Jaros' positioning's pretty decent, and although he doesn't get too close to him, Karate's over enough to make him take it wide. I don't think he gets fully hold of it, but listen, it's good for Yaros because he gets a save under his belt, and I think a bit later he comes out and spreads himself, and again Alison S just takes the ball, so that'll do him the world of good. But that was probably most of their chances, to be honest. Second half came from a bit of sloppiness from us, and one being a bizarre non-free kick on Gravenberch where he's kicked, can't believe away, and they break on us 4-on-3, and you sat there going, yeah, but that's not a lack of structure by Liverpool. That's a play being kicked and not a free kick given. But
yeah, that was immediately after the substitutions. I couldn't understand how that wasn't a foul. With the way that he had been reffing the game up to that point, it seemed like a nailed-on foul that he would blow up.
So.
My only frustration there. Ashley, being the bearer of some maybe good news here, just saw a clip of Allison walking unaided on his own to the bus outside of the park. Says he does not know how serious his injury is, but probably won't be going away with Brazil. How about let's upgrade that probably to definitely won't be going away with Brazil.
On the flip side, it looks like Darwin's going to go away with Uruguay,
which is good.
I actually think this is one of the times where you're going like, actually that'll do him good because he tends to come back from Uruguay games when he's not fighting in the crowd, revitalized because he's the big name. Big name there.
Gets in his head.
Yeah, Bielsa gets tune out of him, and I just think it makes him good. And like you said, it's I think that could actually do us the world of good because then it gets a bit more sharpness in his game, which kind of worked. My only frustration today was I just thought we were really, really sloppy in attack and given too many soft balls away, which is generally what led to Palace's chances. That's probably the thing that's only frustrated me this game and a little bit against Bologna was I just think in attack we've been a little bit sloppy.
Yeah, I mean, Kev, after the Eze chance on 84, there's a couple more changes. Kamada comes on for Chalobah, didn't have a great game for them. Endo comes on for Jones.
What a tackle!
What a tackle!
That's proper. To the game.
I sent Kev a gift, just like a high five, going, I love tackles like that. I'm getting everything. Ball man. Yeah. Well, if I get the ball, that's a bonus. It was a proper old school. Nothing's getting past me. I love that. I love stuff like that. That's where Endo coming on is perfect. That's his game, which is bring him for the last 10 minutes just to kick everyone. I'm fine with that. It was
nice to see Diaz come on the right. It was nice to see him wander and end up on the left at times. He literally followed the play where he wanted to be active. But yeah, that tackle by Endo, I was sat there. I was like, I went up for that as much as I went up for Yaros' save. Not his save, him coming out and collecting the ball on the edge of his box. I love that. It's little things in games that I really love. Sharp tackle like Endo just is brilliant. But keepers being on the ball and on the line, off the line, and looking to make an effect on the ball. It was brilliant. And I thought we shut the game off really well. Took it into the corners when it was needed, but always trying to get a second goal to kill the game. It was you have to carry that threat, and they have to believe you have that threat because it means that they have to bring more players back. If we're just going into the corner, then eventually they know that the ref or the linesman will give them the ball back some way, shape, or form. And they've got 5 or 6 already on the pitch. So if they think you're going to try and threaten and score a second, their right mid, their left wing, their attacking midfielder all have to track back, all have to try to win the ball back. And it makes it easier to defend in the long run. I thought we managed that really, really well. And yeah, a bit nervy, obviously, because look, 1-0 leads are 1-0 leads. But yeah, delighted with the 3 points.
It was a fair.
Ashley, we almost got the second goal in what would have been a lovely way for Vida Yaros with his long punt up the field, and Jota just absolutely spins Gahey. But he couldn't quite square the ball across to Diaz, who I really needed to score for my fantasy because I forgot to set my lineup this week. But like the final 10 minutes of the game, after that Eze shot at Yaros, I don't know if they really threatened our goal again. Yaros came out and collected one in 93 minutes. But like Kev said, we took control of the game. We kept the ball and saw it out, and that was enjoyable.
Yeah, there was a lot of good game management there, and I really liked Endo was in the corner of the pitch at one point, and he handballed so that they didn't get a goal kick. And so
the most obvious
some reason
handball
got
you will
away with
ever
it.
see.
It was fantastic.
Clever though.
It felt
To be
very
fair to it,
kind
it's
of
clever.
like James Milner's shithouse in the corner there. So I really enjoyed his little cameo today. And it was just good to see him on the pitch. Like, you know, that's what he's there for. And it was good to see out the game with like a level of maturity that I think that we may have been lacking in maybe like the last season and a half. And yeah, I mean, I guess coming away from it, like I have mixed feelings because it was such a game of two halves. Like it wasn't really truly a hard fought 1-0 victory. Like I feel like there was a lot of control, especially in that first half, where that really should have been, the scoreline should have reflected the dominance that we had in the first half, and it didn't. And I feel like there was just a lot more nerves than were necessary for the game overall. You know, and it is what it is. But we're top of the table, so I'm not complaining.
I think we'll see in this league, though, away games are becoming tougher and tougher to get results. You know, I think there's only the top three who are consistently getting, you know, good point totals away from home. Below that, it's very inconsistent. Update on McAllister from Ian Doyle. Apparently, Slot has revealed he was substituted for complaining with a problem in his groin area. Liverpool will now assess him just to see if he joins up with Argentina or not. So it'll be interesting.
Ashley's job for.
Well,
yeah.
The one time I get a bit of research.
No, you rock up late. You're shoving your elbows out and saying, "No, I'm the." Shut up, sit down and be quiet and let Ashley do her role, please. I'm even standing away from the button.
I was going to say, it could be worse, Kev. He could have Ashley reading a comment and then you turn it off halfway through, which is also good.
But yes.
That's all right. He came on to be the Szoboszlai replacement. Remember, he's meant to be like, you know, shooting off all over, missing the goal.
Very, very good. Very good.
Not contributing in a positive way, you know.
Let's
make
see
it all about himself, you know.
Yeah, let's see you do some running around there, Chris. Cover the ground that Szoboszlai does. Let's see if you're in as good a shape as he is.
Oh, I wish I was. I'll be made up with
that. Well, let's buzz through some of these post-match quotes, and then we'll come on to man of the match from everybody. Van Dijk, we want to compete. We want to be there until the final day. Kind of goes without saying. On Ali's injury, Virgil says, doesn't look good. Looks like a hamstring, which was already bothering him and from which he recovered. Clearly not. Arne Slot on us being top of the league. I think my wife is happy now. She gets someone home who is happy, not unhappy. That goes the same with my wife. Arne continues, if they only remember me because of this, this hasn't been the most special era. I hope to do more special things than winning 9 out of 10. We got the chance from Mo. We got the chance from Diogo. We should have finished them, which is very, very correct. I don't think Crystal Palace fans can be unhappy with the referee. It took us 55 minutes to get a free kick. And somebody else pointed out there that they had 12 free kicks with 28% possession, which is just absolutely outrageous. On the upcoming game, Slot says, unfortunately, Ali will not be with us after seeing him walk off the pitch. And he says, after the game, I'm hoping to do special things. I mean, 9 wins out of 10 is pretty special. Slot says they brought on a long and tall striker. They got a few easy free kicks from the referee, in my opinion. That helps bring the momentum. When asked, what is the key to your brilliant start? He says brilliant would have been 9 wins out of 9. He also says a clear penalty on the foul on Mark Gahey. Oliver Glasner believes Crystal Palace should have been awarded a penalty against Liverpool. But just going back to this one here, like Ashley, I'm loving Arne Slot's post-match content. Like he's a real straight shooter. Like
he pulls no punches. Cliches. He pulls no punches, and I don't think it's like Hollywood comments. I think he just genuinely wants perfection. Like he seems like he's a perfectionist. He seems like he's like a real hard data analyst, and when those data points aren't met, he's pissed off. And it's good to see. Like he's not resting on his laurels. He's not letting the team rest on their laurels, and he's not afraid to call out a player, which is kind of refreshing. I feel like so often, like a lot of coaches will kind of like tiptoe around it, and they don't want to call a player out. I feel like he's pretty blunt, and maybe that's sort of his Dutch nature, just kind of being a straight shooter, saying it like it is. But it is refreshing. Like it's not the same as Klopp, and I do miss Klopp. I miss like that energy, but I don't know. He has his own sort of charm that's growing on me.
It gives me Rafa vibes, and I think when a pressure goes up, I think he's going to have some spiky Rafa-esque moments, which I'll be honest, I think will be quite fun to watch.
Yeah, Grumpy Kev. How are you feeling about it? Because
I'm grumpy this season. How can you be grumpy this season?
You were grumpy pre-season. Let's be fair.
I was grumpy.
Transfer window Kev was full grumpy Kev.
Yeah, it was.
Nottingham Forest Kev was very. Nottingham Forest Kev was very grumpy. To be fair, we all were.
Those were grumpy Reds. That wasn't grumpy Kev.
Yeah, that wasn't. That was just. I was tame compared to what was in the chat that day. That's for sure.
But I mean, I've noticed, Kev, that there's not nearly as much Jurgen Klopp talk as I was expecting, or as there was in the first couple matches of the season, and it feels like Slot has really taken the mantle over.
Look, I mean, at the end of the day, a couple of results go a different way, and you're having this conversation again. It's a long shadow that Jurgen Klopp is going to wield at this club for a long time, and Arne Slot has done everything asked of him. You know, he's adjusted the way the players play. We are more defensively solid. So they gave us that in the game on TNT. We've won. I think we've more points than we had this time last season, but only one, I think. But we scored three more goals than we had at this point last season, and we've conceded 3 goals less. It doesn't sound a lot, and they were making the point that with your eyes, and it's true, the eye test, we are different. You know, we're building out different. We're much more solid. We're still not giving up really great chances. Palace at home had an XG of something like 0.57. You know, which is
a different show. It's 5.7.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Do you see Grumpy Kevin a whole new level?
No,
but yeah, no.
That would be incredible.
But exactly, and that's the thing. We look like we're back to keeping clean sheets. If we concede, it's like, oh my God, wow. Or, you know, and when we're building up through the more we play, they play together, the more the group plays. And it's nice to see the changes that we made today didn't affect the patterns of play and how we played. When Yaros came in, even the last 15 minutes of the game, we still played out from the back for about 5 minutes. And then when it got to 18 minutes, it's like, no, fine, no, we're going long now. You know, but that's what you'd expect. That's normal. It was like it didn't affect or change how we played the game. So all in all, absolutely delighted. Can't complain.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Jono says, I just like winning. If we win with this style, I don't care. But the thing that jumped off, I was just looking at the table after the match finished and before we came on live here, because it's always nice to look at the table when you're sitting with a big 1 beside your team's name. But even before Wolves played this week, they'd conceded 2 goals a game more than us. Like, we've conceded 2 goals after 7 games, and that is, you know, defense wins championships. It's a cliche, but it's a cliche for a reason.
Yeah, it's just a different style. But I think we're just getting used to this slightly different style, because Klopp's style would have just been to be more attacking and go for it more. You know, Slot is a bit more defensive, possession based. Which is, look, it's fine. I think we're also getting used to it, because, I mean, we all loved Jurgen Klopp, but after 9 years, you're kind of used to his style of play. So it is also getting used to what he does, how he does it. But Kev's right. I mean, at this point last season, after 7 games, we're 2 points better off. And if we compare the games we've played to the same games as last season, we're a point worse off. So, and last year we got up to 3rd and playing some decent stuff. So we're still in and around that sort of form, while still trying to transition to a new style of play. So, look, it's not perfect, but it's going in the right direction. And that's all you want. It would have been quite easy for us to be sat here 7 games in, 10, 12 points going, it's going to take time, isn't it?
Yeah.
The big test is going to be after this international break, because it's a fun fixture list between now and the next international break. But in a good way, though.
For it.
Oh, it's fun. That's what you want. Just what you feel about it. If you tripled Everton's points, tell them they're still behind us, which is always good fun to remind them of that.
That's lovely. That's absolutely lovely. And I mean, hey, you got to play every team twice, but if we can come out of that next block of fixtures, you know, with another string of good results, you know, probably a little bit too pie in the sky to say if we win them all, but, you know, if you can go and pick up results against Chelsea, who look actually quite good this season, the doubleheader against Brighton in the league and in the cup, big European matches and stuff like that. So I'm certainly looking forward to it. It's just unfortunate that we have to have a ridiculous 2-week international break before coming back and then taking another. Like, why do we need breaks in September, October, and November? Doesn't make.
I mean, to be honest, this 2 weeks could have come at a good time for us.
Yeah.
You've got a niggle with Sobslai. That's 2 weeks of no Allison that don't cost us games, if you know what I mean. So the breaks probably come at the right time. Listen, if we get to the next international break, still in the League Cup and in and around top, happy days, because that's a real tough period you've gone through. And I think that's the aim, is to get to this international break in and around top, and hopefully, at least another 4 points for the Champions League. If we get 4 points for the next 2 Champions League games, you're probably 3/4 of the way there from getting to a top 8 position.
Yeah, exactly. And Ashley shows here, Chelsea home, Leipzig away, Arsenal away, Brighton away in the cup, Brighton at home in the league, Leverkusen at home, and Villa at home. That is absolutely juicy, because as Jono says, I can't wait for this run after the international break, because when we win these tough games, we won't have to hear, yeah, but you haven't played anybody yet. So
that's a good perspective.
Exactly. You gotta beat everybody if you want to have a chance of winning the league. But Ashley, who do you like for man of the match?
I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to give it to Virgil. I think that the way that he kind of held that back line together, especially toward the end of the game, and really just locked it down. I don't know. I wish I could give it to Konate and Virgil at the same time. But the way that they're locking down the defense, I think it hasn't really been spoken about enough, because the clean sheets, they were such a rarity last year, and to get those back, I don't know. I mean, that gives me a great level of confidence with this team going forward.
Yeah. Kev, SLJ758 agrees with Virgil for man of the match. Scouser Pete says Curtis man of the match. What about you, Kev O'Sullivan?
Cody Gakpo for me.
Just took me bloody one.
Sorry.
You're not even supposed to be here.
Kev knew I was going to get man of the match.
He's just all around work off the ball. On the ball, he was his typical normal self. Created a couple of half chances for himself. Some good deliveries into the box. All in all, his work off the ball was tremendous. Defensively, he was really good, clearing headers, winning good balls in the air, covering with Costas, doing the donkey work, doing the horrible work that you need him to do to make sure that you're in the game. Virgil was very good. But for me, my man of the match would be Cody Gakpo. Honourable mention be Curtis Jones. Passing was ridiculous today. Some 96, 95% passing success rate for a guy who's making he doesn't start that often. His defensive work was solid when he was asked to change shape. He was busy. He was energetic. He was always in and around the ball. Had a really good game. But yeah. No, for me, Cody and Curtis, honourable mention.
Yeah. Chris RCTV says Allison man of the match. Otherwise, we could have lost that game. He did. He came up with some timely interventions when he needed to. Thor would give it to Slot for his touchline rant or for Yaros. But who do you like now that you can't have Gakpo?
We'll go triple Dutch. I'll just take the open goal that Kev never takes. I'll go Gravenberch.
Yeah.
He's just ridiculously good.
Especially the first half. I thought in the first half, some of his play was just outrageous.
I love the way he shields the ball and turns. He just turns a player, and there's it's so nice to see.
It's Gino Wijnaldum vibes, that, isn't it? That turn he does and sticks his arse out, which is what Gini was the expert at. He's definitely learned that. So yeah, so all three Dutch lads were great. Kev's right with a shout for Curtis Jones. I thought he was good. Yeah. But I was pleased for Gakpo because he's very unlucky not to start more games than he has. He's just unfortunate that the guy who also plays there, Diaz, is also on really good form. But listen, competition is great because it breeds those sort of performances. Because now Diaz is going, will I start my next game? Because Gakpo played really well. There's no reason not to start him. So it's good. So look, now I'll give it to Ryan Gravenberch because he was excellent. I would have given it to Gakpo, but Kev stole me. Kev stole the answer.
Yeah, you can't do that. Red Armchair Supporter says Ryan Silkenberg, which is very nice. Lovely. Nice. I mean, Avo the Third coming in with just brilliant brilliant analysis. Not wanting to sound like Michael Owen, but if you don't concede, you don't lose. That is John Madden levels of analysis there from Avo, but that dovetails in nicely with who I would give man of the match to. I think it would be Ibu Konate. I think Konate's had such a good start to the season. You look at some of his numbers for the duels won and stuff like that, and he's pretty much the top defender in the league. And it's such a shame that he had that little fucking brain fart against Wolves to concede the goal, because I think he would have got man of the match, deservedly so, in that game. But he's just, between him and Virgil, they are losing no aerial battles at all.
This has to be the most he started back-to-back in the league. Surely.
Probably.
If it's not, it's close.
Because that's six league games back-to-back, and he's done both Champions League games, which, let's be honest, none of us thought he'd do that, and he'd have to be wrapped in cotton wool a little bit more than he has been. But, you know, it's great to see, because he's an excellent defender. It's just keeping him fit.
Yeah. Scales Repeat is really on it today. He had his Turner and Hooch joke earlier, but he says Gravenberg drops the shoulder and leaves people in his wake. His swivel hips are prime Elvis. There you go. That's one for the kids there.
Yeah.
But, I mean, yeah, it's such a lovely way to start the weekend. It's my birthday this weekend, so I get to enjoy the rest of the weekend. I'm going to get absolutely hammered today. It's going to be great. I'm going to have a nap because it's only 20-9, but it looks like the action is really dried up. Red Steve pointing out there hasn't been a goal in the 3 o'clock games for over 5 minutes. This is an absolute farmers league, but last I looked, there was goals.
Brentford Wolves looks great.
I know.
3-2 already.
We'll probably turn it on at halftime, and then there'll be no more goals.
Yeah.
That's what usually happens.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly fine if there's no more goals in any of the 5 games that are going, because, we've got Brentford up 3-2 against Wolves. Leicester's up 1-0 against Bournemouth. West Ham and Ipswich are tied 1-1. So those are the games that don't really matter. And then the games that matter, Fulham and Man City are tied at 1 apiece, and Arsenal and Southampton are tied at 0 goals apiece. So, yeah, I think we can all shuffle off and go enjoy the 3 o'clocks and the rest of our afternoons. Before we go, Ashley, anything else?
Nope. Happy early birthday. Enjoy your weekend.
Yes, 50. Kev, anything else?
No, that's it. Don't forget the charities. Thanks to the people who did actually copy and paste it and link it and share it and what have you.
Are you slightly less grumpy today, Kev?
No, I'm really happy. I'm really good today. Going to enjoy some boxing tonight. So looking forward to that.
Is Anthony Joshua going to get his head popped off again?
No, that's going to happen in a couple of months' time.
How can he ever fight again?
Big money.
Yeah. Right. And late arrival, last words, Chris Brack.
Happy 50th, mate. Fingers crossed the women win tomorrow. We haven't had a win yet.
You got great hair for 50, Matt.
Yeah,
that is true. That's why he cut it short, because he can't have long hair at 50. It's just wrong.
Yeah.
I'm going to prove you wrong. I'll see you in 10 years. I'll have the long hair to prove you wrong.
What for you? 60th?
Oh, have you got Roundy birthday tomorrow?
What's that?
We call him over here a Roundy birthday. Where
the nice even number?
No, where it finishes on a 0.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Nice even number.
Oh, nice. Oh, well done. Congratulations.
Well done being alive. Well done.
Yeah.
You survived.
Well done for looking younger than Wayne Rooney.
Well done, Buffy. You kept him there.
There we are. All right. Yes. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. If you're in here, thank you again, everybody that always joins us for our post-match shows. Hit the like button on the way out. If you're catching up with us afterwards, subscribe to the channel. If you want to become a member, you get in on all the shows live in the chat with the members, which is where all the fun really resides, is with the members chat on there. But please help support our charities, and please try to survive the next 2 weeks without any Liverpool football, because as it stands right now, regardless of what happens this weekend, we're going into that international break top of the league. From Selhurst Park, Crystal Palace 0, Liverpool 1. Thanks for joining us. It's been the Talkin Kop. See you.